Hey everybody, Bobby Klink from Your Online Genius here. Wanted to come to you today to talk about a subject that actually was brought to my attention or kind of got me thinking about it. Someone in my paid membership group asked me a question about some language in some of the form documents. And it got me thinking about this subject that I hear entrepreneurs talk about a lot. And that is how much they hate legalese. They hate the legal mumbo jumbo. A question I get asked all the time is, could I write this stuff without using the legal stuff? Could I make my contracts nicer? Could I, just not use the legal language? And when I get those questions, I understand it. But I wanted to come and talk to you about why I think that's a bad idea. Why I include the legal stuff and the legalese in my contracts, and why I think you should too. And what it comes down to is, look, I agree with you. Legalese sucks. Trying to read that stuff is a nightmare. It's, can be very incomprehensible. You have to sit there and really pay close attention. Even I do to these clauses, because what's happened is what could otherwise seemingly be a very simple statement gets very long and convoluted and has a lot of clauses, has a lot of this, that, and the other. But the reason why it has that, it's not that lawyers were trying to be cute or trying to be difficult or trying to make it incomprehensible. Well, maybe some of them were. But in my case, it's not, right? So what's happened is over time, people have started, lawyers will start using a contract that says X, Y, Z. And then someone challenges that. And they win. And so what happens when they win is the next lawyer says, okay, well, I'm going to plug that hole. And so they add some other clause. And then another challenge comes. And so you plug that hole. And so over time, what could otherwise have been a very simple statement can get convoluted and complex and have a lot of different clauses. But the reason they're there is because they're necessary to avoid these problems that have come up in the past. Now, is it possible that you might be able to take that language and get it all included and make sure that you're covered without using the legalese? It's possible. But the point is that this is language that's been battle tested. It's been tested in courts. It's been tested over time. And we know it works. And because we know it works, we say we should stick with that. And so that's why I include legalese in my documents. Some of this stuff isn't too bad, but there are some standard clauses you're going to see in contracts, things like an entire agreement clause, things like an amendment clause. Those aren't too hard to understand, but they're there. But then you're going to find these paragraphs that are yay long, and it's all about how you can't sue me, and it's got 18 different things, and it's probably got a list 50 items long in it. Well, the reason that's there is to serve a purpose. And so I'm going to leave it in there in my contracts. And anytime I work one-on-one with a client, I tell them to leave it in there. If they want to take it out, they can do that. But I explain to them why it's a mistake and why that's in there and why I think it creates risk for them to take that out. And so I try to stress that. And so I wanted to stress that to you here today because, look, it's an issue that comes up. And I know people don't like this stuff. And so I hear this over and over and over again. Couldn't we make these contracts not so legalese, so not having so much legal language in it? And because I hear that so often, I know that I think a lot of entrepreneurs end up doing that. Maybe they find a template somewhere, whether mine or someone else's, and then they say, well, I'm going to get rid of this legalese. And what I want you to tell you is that's probably a mistake. If you're not talking to a lawyer and doing that, you should leave it in there. Good rule of thumb, if there are a bunch of commas and a bunch of long lists, don't change it unless you've talked to a lawyer and understand why that stuff's there. If something in a template form you find is in all caps, definitely don't change that. That tends to be the stuff that for some reason, we as lawyers have decided we need to put in all caps to really stress it. And that you'll tend to find in like a limitation of liability clause. You don't want to mess with that stuff. I know it's not fun to read it. I know that stuff is just nasty and horrible, but the fact is that it's important. And so look, if you want to talk to a lawyer and work with a lawyer one-on-one, they can maybe help you understand, and maybe you can tweak some of that. But if you're not going to do that, I want to stress to you that you should leave that stuff that seems incomprehensible to you that you find in form contracts there, because it's there to serve a purpose, and if you change it, you might lose something. So that's my message today. Legalese sucks, but you should use it anyway. That's really what it comes down to. Now, if you want to get more information like this, I've got my free Facebook group, Legal Secrets for Online Entrepreneurs, where I'm in there answering questions. We had a ton of discussions about GDPR when that was a big issue, and there's still a little bit of that going on. But I'd love for you to join it. You can just find that there's a link in the post on this live where you can join it. You just make sure to answer the questions. If people don't answer the questions, I don't let them in. So there's 3 questions. It's not really hard. I just want to make sure kind of know where you're coming from and what your questions are. So go ahead and answer those and join the group, and you can get some more information. But that's it for today. I'll talk to you next week.